I'm Susanna Challen. I'm the Assistant Director at the National and International Scholarships Program. I'm so happy you're here today to learn about the Critical Language Scholarship. For those of you who attended our webinar, we had some disruption. I'm so sorry about that. So we wanted to make this recording so that you could get the information and also hear from our alumna, Mary Kate, who did the program last summer. So today we're going to go over just general information about the CLS program and the benefits of participating, some tips for the applications, and then you're going to get to hear from Mary Kate about her experience with beginner Hindi that she did last summer virtually during the summer of 2020. So what is CLS? It is a opportunity, typically in a typical summer, to go abroad to learn a language, making approximately a year of progress in a summer. Last summer, students were not able to travel, and so they did virtual language study. And so you're going to hear about that from our alumna. This summer, I'm not sure which it will be, but by applying, you'll have the opportunity when the time comes. It is open to all U.S. students in fields of any kind. You don't need to be majoring in linguistics or in a particular language in order to participate, but you do need to be a U.S. citizen and fully funded. This program is fully funded by the U.S. government. So you are going to be exposed to one of 15 languages that the U.S. government has determined is a critical need in our society to have more U.S. citizens learning that languages on campuses throughout the country. So these are languages that are important to our national security, to our economy, to our workforce, and they want more Americans learning them, and so they are funding a summer study for that intensive dive into these languages. What are the languages? Well, there are 9 languages that don't require any experience. You could go and start one of these languages from scratch. Azerbaijani, Bangla, Hindi, Indonesian, Persian, Punjabi, Swahili, Turkish, and Urdu all have different levels, including the beginner level. There are also languages that require some advanced study. 1 year of study is required if you're interested in Arabic, Korean, Brazilian Portuguese, or Russian. And 2 years of prior study are required for Chinese and Japanese. But so in total there are 15 languages, and if you are interested in learning, making a year's worth of progress in the language in a summer in one of these, then the Critical Language Scholarship might be for you. It is fully funded. When able to travel, they cover the domestic travel, the international airfare, visa fees while you're living there. There's housing and meals provided. The instruction is of course there, but as well as cultural programming and group trips. And the entire program does provide academic credit as well. So this is something that many students from the University of Illinois have done and had positive experiences with. So you'll hear from one today, but it is a wonderful opportunity which can be done earlier in your time at U of I. We've had freshmen apply for this and do it the summer after their freshman year or summer after sophomore year, but we've also had seniors who apply and even do it after they graduate. It's just important that you are enrolled at the time that you apply. You will be in a cohort of about 30 students. It's a pretty intensive program, so there's going to be 20 hours of language classes every week. You're going to be doing cultural activities, and I can tell you even virtually they were doing cultural activities. They have trips that are part of the program when possible, and they are really trying to get you to immerse in the language. So you're living with a host family, you have a language partner, and you're just speaking the language as much as possible during the time. Especially for the languages that are at a more advanced level, they have a policy of no English so that you really get that immersive experience. And you're going to meet some wonderful people. I think you'll hear from our alumna later on. I know that she met some great friends doing this. These are some statistics about how diverse the cohorts are. And you're going to meet people from all over the country, but all who share an interest in the same language and in learning that language. And through your conversations with your conversation partner, you'll be learning a lot about the culture as well, and in the country where the language is spoken that you are studying. So you're going to make rapid gains in language, and the hope is that this will be a skill set that will be supportive of your career goals as well. And certainly there's a benefit to having the ability to speak another language, to improving the fluency with which you speak a language so that you can use it in professional settings. And this is certainly one of the reasons why many U of I students have applied for the CLS in the past, and why we expect it would be a wonderful opportunity for many of you. There's also an alumni network, and the Department of State does provide information and events and information that might be relevant as you're looking toward future opportunities and thinking about if you might want to pursue a career in the U.S. government as one of the ways of using your language skills. So when is the deadline? The deadline is November 17th, and for that deadline you are going to have an application that involves some transcripts, one recommendation, and you're going to have some short answer essays, and then a personal statement. And you will only be able to submit one application for one language. You cannot choose more than one language. And you apply for the language, not for the country. So let's talk about these short answers. And this is something our office is here to work with you on. The first one is about resilience. They want to know an example of when you have had to adapt to a new environment or situation. And based on that experience, what are your strategies for interacting with people who are different from you or situations that are unfamiliar? So here they're looking to learn about your flexibility, your tolerance, your openness, your adaptability. They're asking for that example of how you adapt to a challenging situation. And you have 300 words to convince them of your resilience. They also want to know about your preparation for participating in this program. They want to have you describe a little bit about what aspect of the program you expect will be the most challenging for you, and what knowledge, skills, and experiences that you're going to draw on to meet those challenges. So I like to say that this is an opportunity for you to acknowledge something that will be hard for you, but then to think about times in your life where you face something similar or where you use strategies successfully, so that you are able to reassure the reviewer that while you do know that there's a challenge ahead, that you are well equipped to thrive in this program. The next short answer, another 300-word answer, is about citizen diplomacy. And they want to know sort of how your unique experience and perspective in your life how your unique experience and perspective will contribute to your cohort. And they would also like for you to make a case for how you will serve as an effective citizen diplomat abroad. So how will you contribute to the mission of building mutual understanding between the people of your home community and the people of your host community? So again, this is another place where thinking about your identity, thinking about your experience, thinking about your background, thinking about your worldview, and thinking about times where you've had opportunities to interact with people that had different backgrounds, different worldviews, and were able to promote mutual understanding. Maybe here at U of I, maybe at home, maybe on a trip, something in your life where you have practiced some of the skills involved in citizen diplomacy, and how you're going to bring that to the cohort and to the experience of living immersively to learn a language through the CLS program. Finally, they want to know in 200 words what interests you about your chosen target language and the people who speak it. And they want to know how will you continue to study this language after the CLS program. So they want to know that if they invest in you, that this is going to bear fruit, that you're going to keep learning the language going forward, that it's something that's going to remain relevant for you beyond just the summer. All right, and then the larger essay. This is the 500-word essay, your statement of purpose, which is also called a personal statement. They want to know, how will increased language and cultural knowledge help you achieve your future academic or professional goals? So how does this help you take a step toward your future goals? And why is the timing right now? Why is this the summer for you to do this immersive experience in the language? And tell us why they should invest in you. What is it that you bring to the program? And you have 500 words for that. So if it sounds like a lot of writing, please don't worry. The 300 and the 200 and the 500-word essays are not a lot of space, but they do work together. And that's one of the things David and I in the National and International Scholarships Program can work with you on. So I recommend you just get a draft on paper and submit it to our office, and I'll tell you how to do that in a minute, and start getting some essays reviewed, because typically the first draft isn't the final draft, but they all work together, and we can have a conversation about what you're thinking about writing about in any one of those essays if you're feeling stuck. So again, all academic disciplines are welcome, students of all backgrounds who are motivated to learn the language and who can connect why learning that language will help them take a step toward their career goals. And if that's you, then I hope you'll consider applying. There's a lot of great information on the website, and we are here to support you in working on your writing, as well as the Writing Center, which is also another wonderful place to go. But David and I work with students on CLS applications every year, and that is what we are here for. So the deadline is the 17th. We need 2 to 3 business days to review drafts, and we get a lot of interest around this time of year. So we will be reviewing drafts that you submit to us up through November 5th. And that will give us time to get you on the calendar, meet with you, and you to still be able to incorporate the feedback in time for the national deadline of the 17th. So if you do a draft this weekend or this week and want to send it to us, just go right ahead, and you can do that multiple times before the 5th of November. You will be finding out if you are a finalist in March, just to give you a little bit of an anticipation, and the program would begin in June. So like I said, there is a process. If you want to get drafts reviewed, you can just email topscholars@illinois.edu, and when you email, attach your drafts and suggest some days and times that work for you 2 to 3 business days later. So if you email us on a Monday, suggest some days Thursday and Friday that work for you. And you can do this repeatedly up through the 5th of November. So I really recommend you go ahead and dive in and get some drafts, and don't let your perfectionism put it off. It's okay if the first draft isn't the final draft. That's what we're here for. If you're a graduate student, there's a different office that's going to be serving you. That's the Office of External Fellowships. So similarly, they're going to be reviewing drafts through the 5th, and you can email their office, extfellowships@illinois.edu. Okay, so now we are going to open it up for some questions with Mary Kate Bukai, who is a senior here at the University of Illinois, majoring in speech and hearing science with a minor in linguistics. And she participated in the CLS 2020 program. So we're going to be able to hear about that. And that program was held virtually, and that's something that is a possibility for this summer 2021 as well. So I think hearing about the CLS program, hearing about what it was like virtually, is really a great opportunity. So thank you so much, Mary Kate, for being here with us today. I wanted to start out by just asking you, could you tell us why you chose to apply?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in Hindi. It's such a cool language, such a cool script. And I wish I would have applied earlier, to be honest, but I only found out about the CLS last year. And so when I was thinking more about my major, and I thought this would be a great way to expand my education, since I'm in a research lab that looks at child language development, or like the basic building blocks. So knowing more about Hindi, and which is such a different language from English, would really help me in my research. And then also I want to be a speech language pathologist. And not that many people who are SLPs speak Hindi. So I figured, why not be the ones, or one of the ones that could speak Hindi to my clients.
Awesome. I'm curious about when you're thinking about the value that this program has brought to your life. Can you speak to what you think you gained from participating?
Yeah, so first off, I think I made a lot of great relationships. Even though it was all virtual, I still talk to my conversational partner, and I still talk to my CLS classmates. Every week after the program, me and a couple classmates, we still Zoom, and we still read books together. We still talk about what we're learning in our classes at our own university. So this is a really good network that will stay with you. And also one of the main things that I learned, not other than the language, is how to make connections virtually and how to learn virtually, which I'm assuming is going to be very much integrated in our lives from now on. And so by the end of the program, we all were saying like this became a family. We all like understood each other's struggles. We all had inside jokes. And so I think I really learned how to make relationships. And also, even though I was not able to go to India, I was still able to ask questions that I was interested about. So it made me better at asking questions about figuring out what exactly I'm curious about, and then how can I ask that in a context that is virtual, instead of just seeing stuff on the street like, oh, what's that? Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of value. I mean, you're
Yeah.
right. Increasingly virtual, and also having all of these people that you're still able to communicate with, that the experience has
Yes.
continued for you. That is
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. I'm curious, I don't know if you remember, you were in the shoes of our applicants a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
but the CLS application has short answer questions about resilience. They ask about commitment to language study. They ask about citizen diplomacy and your preparation for the program, and then you get a personal statement. And so there's some writing involved in this application. And I'm
Yes.
wondering, do you have any tips for how to get started, how to approach these questions in the application?
Mm-hmm. So I have two main tips. First tip is definitely submit your application for review by either you or David. That helped me tremendously. Um, and so I actually submitted mine like twice for review, and it helped so much. And secondly, uh, talk about any experience you had. It doesn't have to be about Hindi or whatever language you want to learn. It could be about any opportunity and any experience that you've had. For example, I play Quidditch at the university, and I was able to tie that in, even though it does not pertain to language learning. It was more about my leadership and how I'm able to communicate well. So don't worry if you haven't done a lot of experiences with your language. Just pull on any experiences that you've had.
That's good advice. Excuse me, I had a cough. Um, so when you're saying that you spoke about some of your extracurriculars and showed that you were well-rounded and able to interact with others and get to know new people at U of I, and
Mhm.
that's really relevant for the in-person experience. If the CLS program actually happens in person this summer,
Mhm.
students end up in sort of a group of 30, and so um, you know, there can be some adjustment to a new environment, and in person that involves you know, uh, getting out of your comfort zone and crossing boundaries. I'm curious, sort of in the virtual context, you seem to have made some really interesting relationships. Did you also find that you were having to kind of get outside of your comfort zone and get to know people who were different than you? And
Mhm.
what are the kind of qualities that you think made a successful participant in the CLS program?
Yeah, so we had scheduled meetings just for class with instructors, but what really helped with making connections was meeting with people outside of class. And so we would have like a chai and chat on Saturdays, even though we were Zooming Monday through Friday for 5 hours each day, or 3 hours each day. We still took time to talk outside of class. And so I think just being willing to go talk to them for like the extra hour, or to be on your laptop for an extra hour, really helped me make those connections. And also, I really loved my cohort. We were from all over the US and the world. We had many people who were from different countries or had dual citizenships. So that was also really interesting. Um, so I think just having a curiosity about what others are doing, how they're applying their whatever language they're using. Because I didn't realize just how much diversity there was in my group, from major to location to demographic, all over. And I really enjoyed that.
That sounds fantastic. I'm curious, did your group take a language pledge? I've heard that many of the groups do. Was that something that you tried to avoid using English as much as possible?
I actually came in as a complete beginner, so that was not necessarily applicable since our classes were taught in English. But we did try to, or in our WhatsApp group, we did try to text in Hindi a lot.
Good. I have heard that the language tags are more adhered to at the more advanced levels.
Hmm.
So since you were at the basic,
Yeah.
I think it probably assisted you in getting to know one another to be able to speak in both. Um, well, okay, so thank you for taking time to speak with us. I wonder, do you have any final thoughts for our applicants before I let you go?
Yeah, even though the program might be virtual, you can still gain so much. I went from a complete beginner, no idea. I just thought Hindi's super cool. I can use this in my future. Why not give it a shot? And now I'm going to from like beginner to I'm intermediate, media or mid, according to the there's some tests that OPI, something like that. But I can have conversations, basic conversations with my roommate. I can read a text and understand it. I did so much in 8 weeks virtually. And I was able to learn so much about the culture. The CS really tried to integrate cultural aspects. Each week we had a cultural guest come in from a snake charmer came in, a dancer, a singer, a shop owner. So many people came in just to talk to us, and we were also able to have communicate or conversation partners. So we met twice a week for 1 hour, and we could talk about anything. We could do anything. My conversational partner and I, we cooked once. So they really tried to integrate the cultural learning into the language learning in a virtual context, which I loved.
I can hear that you loved it
Yes.
in your voice, and
Mhm.
that makes me so happy. Um,
Yes.
I hope that everyone listening is inspired. I feel inspired listening to you. So the earlier plug was to get your essays reviewed.
Yes.
And you can do that by emailing topscholars@illinois.edu. I
Mhm.
highly recommend that you do that with drafts. You can do it through November 5th. So please do utilize the CLS website. There's a lot of great tips on there, but also utilize our office. We're a free service for you. And next summer, we hope that you will be learning the language of your choice and enjoy it as much as Mary Kate did.
Mhm.
Thank you,
And
Mary
then
Kate, for
one
being
last comment.
here. Oh, yeah.
I did, although this is a very competitive scholarship, I wasn't sure if I was going to get it, but I got it. So that means you can get it. Just give it a shot. It's free to apply. It's not too hard. Yes, it's a lot, but it will be worth it. So if I can do it, you can do it.